I decided to do a video on how I feed my dogs because when I've mentioned before that I feed them raw, a few people were interested, so this is what I do. I have a recipe in a book written by a veterinarian named Dr. Karen Becker, and this veggie mix is from one of her recipes. It has cooked sweet potatoes, zucchini, and either you can chop up apples or use applesauce with no additives, no sugar. And also in this mix, because we had some extra carrots, I chopped up a half a pound of carrots, and this is her large mix recipe. So what I do is I make these and then I freeze them, and then this will last me about a week, maybe 10 days. So I start in the morning with a half a cup of veggie mix for each pup. My dogs are 6 months old. And then we crack in 3 eggs for each pup. And because it's Friday, they get Fish Friday. If I forget it's Fish Friday, they get Sardine Saturday. I only use preferably wild-caught sardines if they have them, and never from China, and always only in water, no fancy sauces or anything like that. And so then they each will just, they'll each just get half the can. And we have a Maltese, and occasionally I'm mixing her food up too. Hers we make a little differently. It's easier to make hers 2 days at a time. So that is, then if I'm doing that, I'll just take out some sardines and give her some. And then if they still want more, sometimes I'll just crack open a jar. Now for their probiotics, I get this from iHerb.com. They're a veggie cap, but if I use them, I break them up. And since it's a veggie cap, I throw the empty capsule in my compost. And then if I don't give them that, I'll give them traditional plain whole milk yogurt with no additives whatsoever. Or sometimes I'll give them some kefir. And if I give them the capsule, it's just one. And if I'm giving them yogurt, it's just a tablespoon. And if I'm giving them kefir, it's just, I'll pour a little bit in. Sometimes I'll measure a teaspoon. The next thing in their food is the green-lipped mussel, plus it has ginger. I get this also at iHerb.com. I may look for another source of green-lipped mussel. It's just when I saw that they had it, I ordered it. And they only get one a day. And again, with the capsule, it goes into the compost because it's a vegetable capsule, and I've already put that in there. So I added the yogurt in, and the next thing that I'm going to add are pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds that have already been deshelled. And so what I do is I just take a teaspoon, and I measure them just with that, and then I grind them up in my hand like that, and then I put that in there. And a lot of times those just come out undigested, but the little ones get digested. I believe it's just adding a little bit of fiber, but pumpkin seed also is supposed to be a natural worm preventative, and it's also a good snack for people. So then I'm not going to put in any bone meal, but bone meal depends upon the size of the dog and how much raw meat you're feeding. If you're feeding chicken or any other source of bone, like whole chicken, you don't need this. But if you are just feeding some ground meat or ground turkey or ground chicken or anything that's been ground at the store, if I grind it at home, I leave the bones in it. So if you already are feeding bone, you don't need this. If you are feeding just regular ground meat from the store, you need to add bone meal for the calcium and phosphorus levels, I believe. That is what that's for. So the next thing that I add is Animed Pure Brewer's Yeast. Now the only ingredients in here are brewer's yeast. It's for a lot of different animals. It has horses, ponies, dogs on there. Now, I buy a horse-sized, which for a horse, 2 pounds is not a lot. For 2 dogs, though, or even 1 dog, you're going to get a really small container. So it is much more economical to buy the 2-pound container. And I can't remember where I got it. I don't think it was on Amazon. I think it was Country Supply or Jeffers. You would just have to look around. But one thing you don't want to grab is the one on Amazon that's like 10 pounds, but it's a brewer's yeast combination. So brewer's yeast is a feed through flea and tick control. Now, a lot of people don't like it because of how it's sourced. I believe it's grown from corn, but we've been doing this for years and it works. So for each dog, now for our little Maltese, she's 8 pounds. She gets like not even, she just gets maybe that much. But my big girls who go outside, they're getting this. That's a tablespoon. And in the summer, I'm going to play this by ear. I may actually increase that. I don't want to, but anyway, so yeah, I buy this 2 pounds, and this is actually the second one. I just started it. So I got my girls in November. This is April, and I just finished one of those for 2 dogs. So 2 dogs, 2 pounds, 4 months. So I would say 1 dog, 2 pounds, 8 months. So the next thing I'm going to add is about a half a teaspoon of ground flaxseed meal, and that's for the omega-3s. And I may end up stopping the omega-3, the flax, because they're getting a lot of omegas in their eggs. I really ideally need to have one of the programs where you enter in everything that you're giving your dog, and it tells you what you need to leave out and what you need to change. And then this right here is the diatomaceous earth. They only get like a teaspoon of that. Diatomaceous earth actually is able to kill any existing worms that are in the belly, and this is safe for people. I'll just take the same amount, a teaspoon, and mix it in with some water and drink it. And I could probably actually give them a little bit less, but I don't believe it's hurting them. And about 3 weeks ago on the way home from the vet, one of them threw up. So she did throw up a worm. Now, keep in mind, I've only had them since November. And when I got them from the rescue, they said that the mother was in really bad shape. They found a pregnant stray. So she had been really inundated with parasites. So they did everything they could do to get rid of them all, but you can't get rid of the eggs. You have to keep a worming cycle. So when she threw up a worm, I was really happy to know that they had worms. Prior to that, I had no inkling. So when she threw up the worm, I called the vet, and they told me, okay, that's a roundworm. And this video is not to criticize vets. It is to increase awareness for you to do your own research on everything. And this may come from, I was raised, we had chickens, we had pigs, we had dogs, we had cats, we had horses. We didn't have a farm, but we had all that. And then I had horses, and I've had cats, and I called the vet, and so they said they were going to get together a wormer. And I said, oh, okay. So they called me and told me it was ready. It was based on the weight of the dogs. And I asked for the price, and for 3 dogs, because you can't just worm 1 dog. You want to worm all your dogs. It was $100. And I said, oh, well, what did you end up giving them? And she said, oh, Panicure granules. I mean, I figured it was gold or something, but Panicure granules. And I said, okay. So I get off the phone and I talk to my husband, and I said, I think that's ridiculous. I don't ever remember anything costing that much to worm our animals. And I already was well aware of horse wormers, that's for a 1,000-pound horse, as is that. So I don't understand why it's $100 to worm these animals by weight. Maybe Panicure granules are expensive. Well, really they're not. I looked online and I said, oh, I don't want to do that. I could get them at the vet supply house. A pound was $300. And I'm like, well, I don't want to pay $300. And then I thought, wait a second. When you worm an animal, you worm them once, and then you worm them 4 weeks later to kill any eggs that were laid by those other worms. So I said, well, heck, I could do that because I'm already going to be into the vet for $200. Why not throw in another $300 and have a pound of this medication? Well, I ended up not doing it that way just because I didn't want to put out $300. What I ended up doing was going on Amazon and spending $100. But let me tell you what I did. I got Panicure granules, which is what they recommended, for $12 for one dog. And then I went with an off-brand Safeguard. Well, it's not really an off-brand. It's just a different brand. Panicure granules are fenbendazole. And I know all these different wormers and what they kill based on the rotation that I had my horses on. So I used this Safeguard 4, and it was $8. I bought that as well. And for our little Maltese, hers was $4. Now, inside of here, there are 3 4-gram packages for a 40-pound dog, which is what my dogs were. So that was a lot less. And when you consider that the vet was charging me $100 for basically 3 packs of this, when it cost me $20, I was really upset. So what I did was I called the vet and told her, hey, you know what? I really don't need that. I have some. And well, I think I said my sister has it. But so what I was able to do is get enough wormer for my dogs for now, for that at that moment in time, and for 4 weeks in the future. And that was still, I was able to add some turkey tail mushroom. This turkey tail mushroom for my dogs, 7 ounces, was $40. But I was going to spend $100 to worm 3 dogs one time and have to do the same thing again in 4 weeks. And instead, I was able to get enough wormer to worm each dog twice and splurge on some turkey tail mushroom for them for $40 and still come in at under $100. Is that amazing or what? So know what you're doing. And so back to that $300 for the 1 pound of fenbendazole. This is a total of 12 grams. This is half of an ounce for $8. I think we figured out, well, so that's $16 an ounce. I think we figured out it was, I don't know, $1,600 a pound is what the vet was charging me to worm my dogs, because she was just measuring it by grams. And when I called back, well, I won't even tell you. Anyway, so on to the next thing. I will, because they just had their spay surgery, which they got a unique surgery, not so unique too much, but unique as far as my area. It's called an ovary sparing spay. So my dogs kept their ovaries. They take the tubes and they take the uterus and they leave their ovaries. So my girls will still be able to produce sexual hormones if you just take all of their insides out. And they say that the adrenal glands then are forced to create the sexual hormones. Wow. Okay, sorry. I went all over the place with this food video. So I wasn't able to just make it a food video, but all in all, it is basically about what you put into your pet and why. So the turkey tail is to build the immune system, so it should also help them to avoid getting those worms back, since they started out with such a poor start in life. And then I started with these puppy vitamins, and I got those on Amazon, and I just feed these up to finish them. I give them one a day. But then I switched up to this brand because it's a vitamin and a mineral supplement. So if you feed a vitamin mineral supplement and you have a better one than this, or have one that you use, let me know, because I'm always looking for a better mineral supplement to make sure that I'm giving them everything they need. And this one I just usually hand feed them. Now I will stir this up with the fork. And I stir that up with a fork just so that I know that they're getting all of the supplements, and I scrape down the sides as well, because sometimes the supplements stick to the side of the pan, and well, I just want to make sure they get them all. Also, I could mention that up until a few days ago, I was feeding fish oil. I would put a squirt of fish oil in there, and they do not need a lot of fish oil. Like, even a capsule is too much for them. So it's 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is really hard to get out of that package that squeezes. But I finished that up, and that was the second one. So 2 American Journey fish oils from Chewy.com lasted me 4 months, and for 3 dogs. And I'm sure I overgave it because it's so hard to measure. But I'm not sure that I'm going to get the fish oil. I never did give it on Fish Fridays anyway, because they have enough omega-3s and 6s with the eggs. But then again, I think I just may order it just to be safe. And I'll show you in a second how they eat their food. Okay, so I put their food here, and because they're going to be large dogs, make them have respect. They're not allowed to eat their food until I tell them, and so they're sitting, and they're doing a very good job. Good girl, Mercy. Oh, gee. Oh, okay, I see how you are. Good girl, Maya. Good girl, Maya. Hey, sit. This is one thing we still need to work on, is that sit means sit. They're not released from their sit until you tell them. So that's in effect how you teach stay also. Yes, good girl, eat. Come on, Maya, come on, yes, eat. Good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl. There you go. So Mercy will definitely finish before Maya. Because she inhales her food. And one other thing, oh, she doesn't like the light. One other thing is I don't ever take their food, but I want to be able to pet my dogs while they're eating. I do not allow anyone else to do this. If my grandson was here, he could. He just doesn't care to. And if I would get a growl from them, I would definitely take the food from them, and that's just how we work. All right. For me, this is the fun part of the video, but for you, it's probably the boring part, if you didn't find it all boring. There's my girl. Mercy's almost all done already. I used to put her food in a slow feeder bowl, but seriously, way too time consuming to clean, because I clean my dog's bowls every time they eat. I don't just leave the bowls sit there. We actually have like 6 or 7 of these bowls, and then I'll just put them in with the dirty dishes, and then I'll wash them all at one time. It's my girl. She's almost done. And Miss Slowpoke over here, the petite eater, she chews everything. You give her ground meat and she chews it. Okay.